So jumping into a once-a-week project may not have been my brightest idea, and those build videos will probably have to pause for now. But I like the accountability that comes with making art videos. I know what I said. I own what I said. But I can also admit that past me was both enthusiastic and a little naive. Let's talk about that while I work on today's practice sketches. Hello and welcome back, beautiful blooms. I'm Galatunia, and it's been a while since we've sat down together for an art vlog. That is entirely my fault. I sincerely believe the YouTube advice video that I recently published was only going to take a week, and we all know that's not what happened. What did end up happening is the more that I researched into the topic about the YouTube growth niche and the more points I had to put together, I realized it was going to be so much bigger than what I thought it was going to be. But it was fulfilling because I really like the format. I've always been long-winded. Gee, I'm sure that's not a surprise to any of you. But I've always been long-winded, and I've always been a very analytical person, and so I took to creating the video essay very well. But what I didn't expect, and what's going to be the main topic of today's vlog, is it took over a month to create that video, which gave me a lot of downtime to think about what kind of videos I want to make on the channel and how I want to present those videos. And don't worry, the art vlogs are not going away. This is not me saying this is the last art vlog. No. What is going to happen though is I'm going to create a distinct separation between art vlogs and video essays, because I really enjoyed making that video essay, and I already have, God, I already have a long list of topics I want to get into for future video essays. I'm going to talk about that later in the video, as if I didn't already have a million topics I wanted to cover in other videos. I am never going to have enough time to get to everything. But I want to make the distinction between video essays and art vlogs, because part of the reason why the anti-YouTube advice video became what it did was I quickly realized that it wouldn't have the message and impact I wanted it to have if I had just overlaid my commentary over, you know, some sketch footage. The other thing that's made me consider that distinct expiration, well, there's actually 2 points. The first being when I last asked for feedback about these vlogs. Those of you that chimed in, you said that you liked the more conversational style, the more conversational, relaxed feeling. And that actually tracks with how I personally feel about it, because that was the point when I first started the art vlogs. I am a novice learning how to draw, and I'm here to document my journey and share my feelings about that journey with all of you. And once I start pulling in more complex topics to talk about, like the architecture industry or AI art, it kind of takes away from that a little bit. Also, if I'm sounding kind of stilted or there's a lot more filler words than usual, it's because I usually use a script for my videos, but because I want these art vlogs to be more conversational and more relaxed, I'm going off just a freely structured bullet point list this time. And I'm someone that does do a lot better when I actually prepare what I want to say, but I'm also trying to get a lot better at just talking, and so that's why. So I hope this is working for you. I admit I'm a little nervous doing things this way, but I do want to get better, and I don't want scripts to become a crutch. And enforcing that separation in terms of topic and format also frees up these vlogs to be vlogs. I can use them to talk about me and the channel on top of talking about art, and it basically gives the art vlogs a more distinct identity, because something I talked about in that monstrosity of a video essay was the importance of when you appear on someone's home feed and they can immediately tell what your video is about. Well, if someone sees an hour-long plus video from me in their feed, then hopefully that helps signal, oh, Galatunia is getting into a topic. Whereas if a screenshot of a house design appears on their feed from me, then people know, oh, Galatunia's got a new house design. Whereas with art vlogs, initially people kind of knew, what they would be about. But once I started bringing in more complicated topics, it kind of muddied the identity of them a little bit. So I'm hoping that now, if the art vlogs focus solely on the art journey itself and channel updates, I think that will help give that same initial distinction on the homepage. Then again, I could be way overthinking it. I am prone to overthinking things, so we'll see. Which is a great segue to talk about a couple of things coming up. First and foremost is when the next videos are going to be. Those of you that have seen my Final Fantasy XIV housing builds, then obviously you know I'm into Final Fantasy XIV. Dawn Trail is next week. It's not the official release, but it's early access and it's basically soft launch. So Dawn Trail is next week. And so for like the next 2 to 3 weeks, I do not want to be thinking about my YouTube channel. I don't even want to look at social media because that is the only way I'm going to make sure I do not get spoilers on the story. Chances are there won't be a video in July. There might be because, and I guess this is a good time for me to talk about the projects I currently have going on. And if this feels like a lot, don't worry, I'm going to have a separate community post that will talk about these things. The next couple of videos are probably going to be housing design videos because I've got a couple of those in the backlog that are ready to be edited and ready to go. First being, I am part of the Denmo Final Fantasy XIV housing portal project. He has said he's okay with people kind of talking about their individual rooms on social media. If you have no idea who I'm talking about, if you love Final Fantasy XIV content, you should be watching Denmo. My apartment for that project is done, and so that will probably be the first video when I come back to YouTube because it's an apartment, it's nice, it's quick. The next housing project video after that is a large build that I had to take down recently because my friend that I built it for wanted to do a different build in her house and she wanted to do it on her own this time. So I have the reverse teardown for that, and that's going to be my first reverse teardown video. I don't know if it's going to be immediately after the apartment video. It probably will be, just so that it's done and I can get that off of my main drive and just let it live on my external. The next video essay, and I know a lot of you subscribed just for that video essay from the comments because holy shit. When I recorded that video, I was at 93 subscribers. There were 93 blooms in this garden. There are 230 of you now, and my mind has been blown. I was not expecting that video to have the reach that it did. I was not expecting it to bring in that many people. And so if you are here from the YouTube advice essay video, I just want to say thank you so much for joining the garden and becoming a beautiful bloom. But with that being said, I don't know when the next video essay is going to be. Though I know that usually people who are into video essays, you're already aware that those take a lot of time. I'm going to have a soft aim for September. If I can get it done within August, that would be great, but considering most of July is going to be a vacation, it's probably more likely to be closer to September. I already know what the first topic's going to be. I saw these tweets talking about the Imagine games from the 2000s that literally everyone, including me, just thought was shovelware, and it turns out they're actually really cute anime games. And as someone who was like a teen in the 2000s, and the sheer lack of games aimed at girls at that time that wasn't just Barbie games, holy shit, I feel robbed. And I feel like that's an excellent opportunity to not only talk about that, but to talk about basically anime erasure in the industry at the time, because Japanese media was not viewed favorably in the 2000s. I know a lot of younger anime fans are like, it's been mainstream for a long time. Anime being considered mainstream is still a very recent thing. So I think that video essay is going to be a great opportunity to talk about those things. And then finally, as for art vlogs, instead of forcing those to be weekly, I'm going to probably post an art vlog when I feel I have made particular progress or if I happen to create a finished piece that I really want to share with all of you, or if I have some announcements on the channel that I really want to talk about in a video and not just in a community post, because then that way they stay relaxed. But more importantly, during that downtime, I realized I accidentally fell into a trap. The trap of asking myself, what do I want to draw for YouTube this week? Instead of, do I want to draw this week? And if so, what do I want to draw? That difference is subtle, but important. I am enjoying the craft. I'm loving it. I've already reached the point where just drawing an hour a week isn't enough. I want to draw for several hours when I get started, and then on top of that, I'm finding I'm actually wanting to draw multiple days a week. But I was making the mistake of trying to link my art to the topics I was talking about, at least for the most recent art vlogs. And that's not a trap I want to fall into. Like, I do not want to draw solely for the sake of making content. So taking that month away from art vlogs to work on that video essay was kind of a nice reminder to myself, okay, you need to make sure you're drawing what you want to draw. Which kind of brings me to my first major pain point on this journey, or my first level up moment, that I like to call it. Because originally for this art vlog, I had an actual finished piece in mind because I was still excited from the last original piece I did. And I even thumbnailed the composition for it. I even started recording it. And then I got to the dog and realized I can't draw eyes. So that's kind of where I'm at currently, is figuring out how I want to draw eyes on faces. And while that's been fun, it's kind of made me realize that part of my current pain point is not knowing whether my current problem is more my skills versus the tools that I'm working with. And I know that the actual answer is both. I'm obviously currently at a hurdle, and I know that once I get past this hurdle, I will level up, hence why I call it a level up moment. But in terms of my tools, because I've been looking at a lot of tutorials lately, and I don't know how many of you realize this, but the art world is so ingrained in digital art now, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. And I'm not even talking down about it, because I do actually personally want to get into digital art at some point. But the problem is in trying to learn traditional art, learning how to sketch, I'm finding there's a lot of weird obstacles that shouldn't be there. Like currently with breaking down shapes, what I have to do to make it click is I will screenshot whatever the reference is that I'm drawing. I will open it in Microsoft Paint, and then I will take my mouse and I will draw the shapes that way. And then I will try to replicate the shapes I see on the screen on my paper. And even I can recognize that's not necessarily building the muscle memory that it should be, if that makes sense. Granted, maybe I'm talking out my ass, I don't know. And then in terms of like shading and eye styles, so much of what's out there for traditional art, like sketching, it's geared either towards Disney style or towards hyperrealism. And hyperrealism is really difficult to do with just a mechanical pencil. I'm basically learning that I need to buy erasers because I'm just using the little nubbins on my mechanical pencils and they're not doing the job. And even though most of the tutorials can technically still transfer to traditional art, I'm still having to jump through a lot of mental hoops to make what I'm learning stick, because I'm having to do the added processing of, okay, how do I convert this method to pencil and paper? Which kind of brings me to the final thing I wanted to talk about today, and that is finances. And I admit this is a little nerve-wracking for me personally to talk about, because I've never been good about accepting help from other people. I actually have a lot of hang-ups about it that's not healthy. I am independent to a fault, to a point that it actually actively hurts me, and I've been working very hard on that this year. So yes, awkward segue time. To my absolute surprise, A few of you have actually asked me about Patreon and if I have one, which holy shit. That was not a word I ever thought was going to be suggested to me ever for this YouTube channel, let alone at 230 subs. And my highest viewed video is 2K. So, which I am very proud of all those milestones, but that is not necessarily a size people think about when they think of starting a Patreon. In fact, a lot of people actually get really condescending if you even mention it at this size or smaller. So a Patreon is coming. I am not going to advertise it or even open it to people until at least the next video. Because like I said, I don't want to be thinking about this channel or any social media for the next 3 weeks minimum. That would be the worst time for me to open one up. So that will probably be sometime in either the very end of July or August. That's the plan for Patreon right now. It will be a tip jar, and I will pretty much be treating that Patreon like YouTube's community posts, only you'll actually get to see them. Because we all know community posts get lost on the YouTube home feed. I don't even know if everybody even knows they're a feature. I do have 2 other methods of helping out if you're watching this and you're interested. The first being Throne, and there's like 3 things on there. If you would like to buy me some tea, you can go to my website via Fourth Wall, galatunia.com. At the very bottom, there is a way for you to do a one-time donation. The reason why I am using them and not Ko-Fi or Buy Me a Coffee is I've heard too many horror stories about Ko-Fi, and neither of those platforms handle tax and VAT for their creators. They leave their creators to declare and calculate those things themselves. I do not want to do that. I do not want to do that or be liable for that. So that is why I am doing Fourth Wall. So I will leave those links in the description below. And whenever Patreon is good and ready, I will have that ready to go. But yeah, I'm having a good time. I'm at a frustrating point in my art training, but I'm having a good time. And I do want to explore digital art. That is a much more expensive ticket to entry. I will cross that bridge when I get there. Anyway, I'm rambling again. So before I go off on another 2-hour tangent because I don't know when to shut up. If you like this video and you're interested in my future projects, then consider subscribing. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time. See you then.